The open-source AI Trojan horse Venice AI exploded. Look, we need to have a serious talk about the massive trillion-dollar illusion we're all buying into right now. Every single morning, millions of developers, content creators, and founders sit down, open up ChatGPT or Claude, and start working. And without even thinking about it, they paste their proprietary code, upload their uncut video footage, and feed their absolute best creative concepts straight into a centralized corporate black box. We've basically been conditioned to believe this is just the cost of doing business. We've accepted that if you want cutting-edge AI, you have to surrender your privacy, donate your intellectual property, and deal with a corporate nanny that flags your prompts for safety the second you try to push past a basic, surface-level idea. But there is a silent, massive shift happening right under the surface. A quiet revolution is brewing in the open-source world, and it just manifested into something that threatens the entire Silicon Valley monopoly. It's called Venice AI. Now, if you just glance at their marketing, Venice looks like a standard aggregator. They tell you it's a privacy-focused platform for text, images, and video running on open-source models. Fine, but when you pull back the curtain and look at how this thing is actually built, you realize Venice isn't just another tool, it's a Trojan horse. It is a direct assault on the corporate censorship and data harvesting engines dominating the industry. To understand why this is a game changer, you have to look at the massive architectural trap of platforms like ChatGPT. When you type a prompt into a standard centralized assistant, your data goes on a pretty terrifying journey. It gets tied to your IP address, your browser fingerprint, and your billing identity. Then, it gets dumped into a massive corporate data lake where it sits indefinitely, or for months depending on how deeply buried your opt-out settings are. And what do they do with it? They use it to train the next generation of their models. Think about how wild that is. You are literally paying a monthly subscription to donate your most valuable intellectual property to a trillion-dollar company so they can sell it back to you next year. Venice completely torches this model by introducing what's called a zero-trust, decoupled privacy architecture. When you send a request through Venice, it doesn't hit a monolithic server designed to build a profile on you. Instead, the moment you hit enter, your prompt is stripped of every single identifying metadata tag, your IP, your account ID, your device cookies, completely vaporized. From there, Venice routes the computation through a decentralized infrastructure. Depending on the model you pick, your prompt is executed inside hardware-secured enclaves, known as trusted execution environments. Think of it like a temporary, cryptographic bubble. Even the server technicians, the infrastructure operators, and Venice itself cannot see what you wrote or what the model answered. The second your session closes, that data is wiped from the volatile memory instantly. It cannot be leaked, it cannot be subpoenaed, and it absolutely cannot be used to train someone else's AI. But honestly, privacy is only half the story. The real reason a ton of power users are migrating to Venice right now is the absolute death of corporate censorship. We've all been there. You ask a standard commercial model to write a gritty, realistic dialogue sequence, or you ask it to analyze a competitor's strategy using aggressive, first principles logic. And instead of an answer, you get a patronizing 3-paragraph lecture on ethics, inclusion, or corporate policy. Mainstream AI has been so heavily lobotomized by corporate safety teams that it constantly prioritizes liability over raw, unadulterated truth. Venice handles this by hosting completely unfiltered frontier weights. When you tap into models like Venice Uncensored or the latest open-source reasoning models on their platform, you are interacting with raw intelligence, no moral hedging, no tone policing. If you tell the model to analyze a proprietary codebase for critical vulnerabilities, it just does it. If you tell it to draft an intense, high-stakes cinematic scene, it writes it with total creative freedom. The refusal rate drops to practically zero, and for years, the big knock against open-source AI was that it just couldn't compete with the raw horsepower of proprietary models. But that argument is officially dead. By pulling in massive frontier open weights, like DeepSeek's 1.6 trillion parameter infrastructure and Alibaba's latest Qwen models, Venice gives you access to staggering million-token context windows. This isn't a basic chatbot anymore. It's a full engineering environment. You can drop massive code repositories, multi-hour video transcripts, or entire books into a private zero-retention container, and run complex reasoning loops without losing context or risking a data leak. Best of all, for creators and developers looking to automate things, Venice offers an entirely OpenAI-compatible API. This is where the real leverage comes in. If you've spent months building automated content pipelines, autonomous coding agents, or media syndication workflows using standard tools, you don't have to rewrite your stack. You don't have to learn a new framework. You literally change a single line of code, the base URL endpoint, plug in your Venice API key, and point your system to their open source catalog. Instantly, your entire automated pipeline goes from a high-risk data liability to a fully armored private execution loop. Your content engines can generate scripts, synthesize research, and prototype code entirely within a secure sandbox. At the end of the day, the AI landscape is splitting into two very different futures. On one side, you have the walled gardens, centralized, heavily moderated corporate platforms that want to control how you think, how you write, and what you do with your data. On the other side, you have the decentralized open source frontier, a world where you own the intelligence, you control the data, and you operate with zero restrictions. Venice AI isn't just an alternative tool, it's proof that the open source ecosystem has grown up, armed itself, and is ready to take back the internet. The choice isn't about which app has the prettiest interface anymore. The choice is about who owns your mind, your data, and your creative future.